lines from our obituaries. Among his hobbies were going out to eat and watching NASCAR races. She always coordinated her pre-planned outfits with utmost care. He had an impressive collection of pornographic websites saved on computer. She cooked them delicious meals using canned and prepackaged ingredients. He enjoyed driving his loud pickup truck with his expensive custom mufflers. She drove safely while talking on her cell phone and sipping expensive lattes. He spoke with Jesus regularly after the deep shock of his midlife coronary. She was serious about watching every episode of all her favorite TV shows. His own opinions were often voiced by others on television, the internet, and radio. Vacation planning was an important aspect of her life satisfaction. They enjoyed discussing sports and movies with him after boring meetings. All her trash was always tied up neatly inside of shiny plastic bags. He owned several weapons which he enjoyed firing in his spare time. Her granddaughter was a single mother before her grandmother was 45. He only drank to excess on the weekends and missed very little work. She put 15,000 miles a year on an SUV that never left their town. He was a valued patron of the gaming industry and nearly a poker expert. She was on a first-name basis with the stars in her magazines. His yard was always cut short and quite green, and his garage was very clean. She was so attractive that she remained a hooker until well after turning 40. His knowledge of beer commercials was impressively encyclopedic. She was ever feisty despite her emphysema, diabetes, and obesity. He pursued a career in drug addiction and did graduate work in prison. She worked full-time and raised children with absolutely equal attention to both. He drove heavy equipment and found it unnecessary to ever read. She was a professional real estate agent who made friends very quickly. He had no patience with those worn-out liberal cowards who live in France. She supported our troops and hoped they all came back safe and sound. He rolled his credit card debt into his home mortgage on 3 occasions. She decorated every year for each season and every holiday. He had a healthy mistrust of fuzzy subjects such as science. She always kept her hair dyed right down to the roots. He took his wife to Las Vegas for that very special 25th anniversary. She never drove around the town with her car windows down. In his mind, he carried his excess weight like so much powerful muscle. She was proud of her gifted children and kept them strictly to their meds. He bought them the latest home entertainment he had, and he purchased it on shaky credit. She got a part-time MBA and was quickly advanced to middle management. He financed a loud Harley and dressed up for short rides on Saturdays. She tried to banish her cellulite with various creams she saw on TV. He was never observed simply to be out walking the streets of his neighborhood. She eased the suffering of menopause with alcohol, pills, and bitchiness. He began saving for retirement around age 55, but then the economy went south. Her friends all said she was a wonderful home entertainer. Despised by subordinates, dismissed by superiors, he was quite irrelevant at home. She tried hard to visit her mom at the nursing home at least once a month. He loved the outdoors and drank beer there as often as he could. She learned to cook her own meth in the kitchen of their apartment. As a high-powered sales executive, he put his people skills to good use. Sometimes she power walked for up to 20 minutes after lunch. When he went on vacation, people often thought that he must be quite well off. She fed the birds and squirrels and poisoned the ants and wasps. He cut to the chase, stayed on message, and met the bottom line at the end of the day. She believed in women's rights and liked it when men held the door for her. He worked with great loyalty, and they downsized him without a second thought. She delighted in tormenting her ex for years after he kicked her to the curb. He honestly did not know the tired man staring at him from the mirror. She had a white fuzzy little dog that she talked to like a baby. He often had a strong urge to beat someone to death with his bare fists. She spent time in tanning booths because she felt that she was worth it. His barbecue grill cost $1,500, and he had a little fridge out there as well. Her jewelry always drew stares of admiration from those in the know. He belonged to that once proud fraternity of injured former would-be athletes. She quickly lost 15 pounds and bought stylish new clothes after her divorce. His friends down at the tavern always cashed his check for him on Fridays. She killed germs ruthlessly with every antibacterial cleanser available. His son once stole his credit card number and bought video games on the internet. She tried volunteer work, but those people did not appreciate her efforts. He tossed his burning cigarette butts aside wherever he might finish them. She spent hundreds a month on high-fat, low-fiber packaged foods for her family. He sneered at the fool recyclers, tree huggers, and energy conservationists. She found a secure job and caged the system for many unproductive years. His goal was to always keep the bed of his pickup truck clean and empty. She enjoyed the little treat of having her nails done once a week. He always had the time to leer as the young secretaries passed on by. She braided her gray hair, wore Indian turquoise, and smoked menthol cigarettes. He was almost overcome by road rage on several different occasions. She noted happily that she did not grow old, as did all her contemporaries. He believed the government should step aside and let him run his business. She devoured countless mystery and romance novels in her bathtub. Though his eyesight and wind failed him, he never lost his bad boy attitude. She survived her husband and got by alone for nearly 20 years. His self-esteem was low, as he was but a weak and reviled high school teacher. She trained as a nurse to help others, but burned out in a hurry. His great sensitivity denied him success in the Darwinian office arena. She dispensed spontaneous opinions freely on all manner of subjects. Violence, porn, beer, food, and loud noises were the real joys of his life. She adopted each passing New Age fad as a singularly life-changing event. His behavior became saint-like in proportion to the malignancy of his prostate. She loved baby animals and prepared delicious veal cutlets for her children. She looked forward to retirement and died 13 months thereafter. He clung grimly on to life, and in the end, it cost a cool $500,000. He said that we should just level their useless countries with our nuclear weapons. She knew nothing and no one for the last 3 years of her life. He was taken in mid-flight on a journey he had never planned or reviewed. Her implants still looked great as ever, even as they were embalming her. He desperately sought their unearned forgiveness for his abuse, anger, and absence. She left behind thousands of cherished knickknacks that they quickly threw away. His job was sent overseas. They canceled his retirement plan, and so he defaulted on his debts. She spoke often of her money problems, but saved until the day she died. He mixed business with pleasure until the concoction blew up in his face. She showed the children pictures from their shared past that they could not recall. All his long experience and hard-earned wisdom were totally ignored as pathetically irrelevant. Her old and faded pictures might have been of a woman of great beauty and grace. He built a huge second home as a place where he would try and bring the family together. Sometimes she found herself in tears for no apparent reason. He loved to get behind the wheel where he took control in heavy traffic. She had no desire to be rich or famous, and in that she succeeded fully. His former colleagues still mentioned him every now and then at work. She filled them up with unavoidable guilt during each of their numerous visits. He certainly was not one to try to do more using less. She proudly displayed a knife wound sustained in a bar fight. His service in Vietnam provided a basis for guilt-free and lifelong dependency issues. She ignored livestock manufacturing conditions and shopped family meat on price alone. He shared a pro sports championship along with other loyal fans for one whole year. She said she felt safer riding high in an SUV on the way to the grocery store. He adhered to a strict regimen of alcohol, tobacco, a poor diet, and never exercised. She spent thousands on cosmetic surgery and wound up looking like a zombie. He could compare vehicle horsepower over many model years from memory. Her ankles gradually swelled as her obesity worsened her circulation. He often observed wryly to his fellows that when you are dead, that you are dead. She knew in her heart of hearts that she was not descended from some ape.